A young man wraps his hands with cloth before he starts training at the gym. He's a stoic budding boxer with a very lean body that helps him to be agile and fast on his feet. His name is Leo Katsuragi. Leo has been on a winning streak for many matches and he's starting to become well known in the fighting world. Though he's really good at it, boxing isn't his passion. It's just something that he started doing because he found out he was good at it. Leo goes with the flow in life. An orphan with no family or friends, he works during the day at a dingy Chinese restaurant in Tokyo, and in the evenings, he fights. One day, while he's fighting, there's a murder in Tokyo that is credited to the Chinese triad. Case, a member of the Yakuza, meets with a corrupt cop called Otomo to discuss the murder of the dealer by the triad. The murder happens in Yakuza territory, which could mean war between the two factions. Days later, during one of his matches, Leo's punched so hard that he faints and loses the fight, a first for him. When he goes to the doctor after his knockout, he discovers that he has a brain tumor and that the surgery to remove it is too dangerous. At the same time, he is going to die if he doesn't remove it, so either way it's bad news for him. He also won't be able to box again. While Leo is receiving the worst news possible, a young pretty girl named Yuri is trapped in an old isolated apartment to pay off her dad's debt to the Yakuza. The apartment she's in is used for dealing by a man named Yasu and his girlfriend, Julie. Yuri is in a really bad situation. She's addicted to substances and being used to sell her body in order to pay her father's debt. During her withdrawals, she has hallucinations with her friend Ryujai that he's helping her escape her terrible reality. Moving on, Case and Otomo meet again. This time Case has an idea to steal from the Yakuza with Otomo so that he can escape the war that is certainly going to happen and become rich. Their plan consists of invading Yasu's apartment when he's not there, pretending to be one of Yuri's clients. When they are there, they are going to steal the substances and put the blame on Yuri. The night of the heist, Leo is in the same region as Yuri. He's depressed about his diagnosis and the prospect of a very bleak future. Yuri is with Otomo when she hallucinates and runs away from him. While running, she accidentally bumps into Leo and pleads for his help. She's frightened, and Otomo is running after her, calling her name. Out of nowhere, Leo punches him so hard that Otomo passes out, and his badge falls next to him on the floor. Leo takes the badge and freaks out that he just punched a police officer. He tries to wake Otomo up, but Yuki drags him away, calling him Ryujai. Meanwhile, Case is at Yasu's apartment, ready to eliminate Yasu and steal the substances. Case commits a mistake and Yasu recognizes him. They get into a physical fight, but Case shoots him. Unbeknown to Case, there is another Yakuza member, Jajima, following him since he started meeting with Otomo, and he saw him eliminating Yasu and leaving with a bag full of substances. Julie, Yasu's girlfriend, is kidnapped as leverage against Yasu, but she manages to escape. Back to Otomo. Girl wakes him up and tells him in which direction Yuri and Leo went. Otomo goes after them. Yuri and Leo run for some time, until Yuri starts to have a panic attack. She explains that she ran because she saw her dad, and she is afraid of him because he used to do bad things to her when she was a kid. She doesn't realize that she's hallucinating, not only with her dad, but with Ryujai too. Leo wonders who Ryujai is and Yuri tells him Ryujai was a classmate of hers that protected her from her dad. She also explains that she hallucinates because of the substances she's forced to take by Julie and Yasu, and that she has a debt to pay in place of her father. Her father actually offered Yuri to the Yakuza. Leo sympathizes with Yuri and the terrible life she has had. Yuri asks him what she should do and he answers that he doesn't know. She profusely thanks him and he leaves. He turns to look at her for the last time, and when he sees her looking so lost and sad, he decides to help her out a bit more. Yuri is glad someone is willing to help her for a change and goes after Leo. Case goes to a Yakuza meeting, feeling very nervous and skittish. His plan worked somehow, but it left a mess behind. Otomo calls him in a fury, asking if the girl, Yuri, was a trap for him made by Case. Case denies it, but before he gets more into explanations, he has to turn his phone off. Meanwhile, Julie arrives home and sees Yasu's body. She immediately calls the Yakuza boss, and Case picks up, acting as if he is angry that Yasu is dead. Jajima, who was following him and saw him at Yasu's apartment, chuckles at Case's dishonesty, but he never says anything to unmask him. Julie tells Case that she thinks the people who attacked Yasu were Chinese, which is the perfect disguise that Case needed. The Yakuza boss wants to start a war with the Chinese, so he goes to Yasu's house to see the evidence and talk to Julie. Later that night, Jajima receives a call from the Triad's boss. Turns out he is a double agent, working for the Chinese too. He tells the boss that the substances at Yasu's house were taken by a girl and her friend, Yuri and Leo. A bounty is put on their heads without them knowing. Meanwhile, Yuri tells Leo more of her life story, especially the way her father treated her. Leo advises her to stop giving her body to pay for her father's debts, and to think about her future. When Leo realizes that Yuri has no idea of what to do or where to go, he tells her that they can find Ryuji, since he seems to be important to Yuri. At Yasu's house, Julie is beside herself in anger and grief. She promises the Yakuza boss that she's going to end Yasu's murderers, not knowing that his murderer is right next to her. Case is ordered to take her home, and on the way, Otomo calls again. Otomo tells Case that they can find Yuri using the GPS on her phone. Case asks Julia if she put a GPS on Yuri to monitor her during her jobs, and Julie says that there is a GPS on Yasu's phone. When Julie refuses to give him the phone, Case takes off her seatbelt and causes an accident, which makes Julie pass out. He takes her to her house and with Yasu's phone in hand. He's planning to murder her too. But her grandma suddenly appears and scares Case, who in the blink of an eye murders the grandma. Case quickly sets the house on fire and leaves, but Julie wakes up and manages to run away. Now she knows that Case had something to do with Yasu's death, but she still thinks Yuri was the one to steal and help him kill Yasu, so she goes to the Yakuza HQ in a rage. Unbeknown to them, Yuri and Leo have Case, the Yakuza, Julie, and the Chinese triad after them. On their way to Ryujai's house, Yuri has another hallucination with her father, and Leo calms her down using music. Instead of seeing her father coming in her direction to hurt her, she sees him dancing to the Leo song's rhythm. She starts laughing and crying at the same time, which Leo finds funny. The girl is completely out of it. He holds her hand while she's freaking out and laughing, a comfort that no one has ever given her. Case goes back to the place where he stores the substances he stole, but is surprised by Jajima. Jajima wants the substances for himself, and he plans to leave with them while the Triad and the Yakuza are fighting amongst themselves. Case approaches Jajima to hand him the and when the man tries to grab it from him, he tasers him and Jajima passes out. Before he leaves with the substances, Case runs over a passed-out Jajima with his own car, and then calls the other Yakuza members to inform them that Jajima is gone, thanks to the Chinese. Julie arrives at the scene and screams bloody murder that Case was the one to eliminate Yasu. Then, she shows Case's location, thanks to the GPS she put into Yasu's cell phone to monitor where he was when they were dating. In the middle of the way towards Ryujai's house, Yuri gives up on finding him and Leo suggests they go to her father's house to make sure he has left instead. They go to Yuri's old house, and it's abandoned and decrepit. No sign of her father. Despite the house being empty, Yuri has a hallucination with herself as a kid and her dad. She freaks out and runs away. Leo follows her. Before she can go far, she gets face to face with a Triad member pointing a gun at her. The man asks Yuri for the substances they think she stole, but Yuri has no idea what he's talking about. When Yuri doesn't answer, he points his gun to Leo. Leo smirks and says that it's his first hallucination, until he realizes it's not in his head. There's actually a man pointing a real gun towards Yuri and him. Before the man can do anything to them, Leo acts on instinct and punches him in the face. Another henchman appears and Leo shoots both of them. Before they can run away, a black van appears with Case and Atomo. Leo continues to point the gun in their direction, and Atomo and Case also point their own to him. Leo recognizes the man as the cop he punched to save Yuri, so he lowers his guard and they are kidnapped. Atomo asks Leo why he punched him and he explains that Yuri was running and asking for help, so he helped. Atomo finds it funny and calls him a knight in shining armor. Case asks Yuri why she was running and she tells him that she was hallucinating. Case and Atomo start arguing about the whole mess, but they are ambushed by the Yakuza before they can even dream of selling the substances. Instead of going after him, the Yakuza set Julie to run after Case to get her revenge. Julie manages to break one of the car windows with a crowbar, but before she can hurt him too much, Atomo manages to reverse the car and they escape. Yuri tries to grab one of the packages full of substance to use, desperate with her addiction, but Case prevents her from taking it by hiding it in his coat. They don't go very far before they are ambushed again, this time by a bigger group of the Triad. A woman, Chayachi, manages to shoot Case in the same spot where he hid the substance, and while he's agonizing, Yuri frantically tries to use the substance. Leo holds her off, and she starts crying and asking for help. Leo feels sorry for her. He really wants to help her if he can. While they are trying to escape, cars from every faction and the police follow them. Leo starts freaking out because he has no idea what's going on and there are shots coming from every direction. They manage to hold them off for some time, until they hit the car and it rolls many times before it stops. Leo and Yuri sneak out of the mess and hide. Leo tells her that he's dying because of a brain tumor, and for that reason, his limitations don't exist anymore. That's why he decided to help her, even if she was a complete stranger to him. Minutes after he tells her that, he turns his cell phone on and finds out that there are a bunch of messages for him. One of them is from his doctor, and he apologetically informs them that the machine they used for his head exam is broken, and that he doesn't have a tumor. Quite the opposite, he's very healthy. Leo is shocked. Everything he did so far was thinking that he was going to die soon, so it was okay for him to shoot people. Now that he knows he is fine, he gets nervous. His hands start shaking so much he can barely hold a gun. Chayachi finds them and she offers for Leo to go, since he's just caught up in the mess and has nothing to do with it. She doesn't let Yuri go, though, so Leo refuses to leave. Yuri tells him to go and thanks him for helping her. She's grabbed by Chayachi's henchmen and Chayachi commands Leo to leave. He finds his courage again and is ready to attack Chayachi, but sounds of a fight reach them and she runs to see what is going on. Case appears and kills the henchman holding Yuri and she hides. Leo finds her and tries to run away with her again, but Chayachi once again stops them. They come to a standoff for a moment, but Chayachi gives them a chance to escape. Yakuza and Triad start fighting amongst themselves. Julie finds Case and violently attacks him, getting her revenge, but soon after she's also murdered. While trying to escape, Yuri is held hostage by a Triad henchman. She freaks out, hallucinating again, and kicks the henchman, giving an opportunity for Leo to fight him. The police arrive at the scene, taking out Chayachi and Atomo. With much difficulty, Leo wins his fight. Gondo appears and asks him if he knows how to drive, and Leo says yes. They go to Gondo's car and Leo rushes out of there like a bat out of hell. They run away from the police, and Gondo asks if Leo wants to work for him. He even offers the position of number 3 for him. Leo denies, says he wants to focus on boxing, so Gondo tells him he shouldn't be driving for Yakuza then. He tells him to drop off somewhere that he is capable of driving away. They throw away all the substances and escape the police. They do as Gondo said, drop out of the car and hide while he drives away. He passes away while driving, due to his wounds. Leo and Yuri clean up the blood on their clothes and bodies, and when they are going away, they meet Ryujai and his pregnant wife. They don't look very comfortable with each other, and after Yuri wishes Ryujai a happy birthday, they leave. Leo asks Yuri if she has a place to stay, and when she says no, he offers his place. Yuri happily accepts, saying that she wants to stay alive. Days later, Leo goes back to training and Yuri goes to rehab. They are having difficulties adapting after so much struggle and trauma. Leo can barely fight right, and doesn't seem as focused as he used to be. In his first fight after meeting Yuri, he almost loses, but manages to turn around and win at the last moment. This win is necessary for him to feel new and to let go of the idea that he's going to pass away.